Hello and welcome to Speed Skating Deconstructed, What Makes a Skater Great. And today we're going to focus on an analysis of the evolution of the use of the clap skate on a distance straightaway. On the left we have Joachim Uitdyhaagen, the great Dutch champion distance skater. On the right we have the Swedish champion Niels van der Poel, 2002, 2021 here. It's remarkable what's happened with the clap skate and what it's done for especially distance straightaways. What it's done is allowed the skater to utilize timing, his body weight, and the setup of the push and the recovery to actually do all the work for him. Versus in this era, it was about pushing to the side, transferring your weight, recovering, falling to the side, and it was all like disparate, separate pieces. Now, with this technique, it's all unified. It's one big thing. It's a cycle. And Niels almost gets energy from his prior push. It's almost like a rechargeable battery, like he recharges as he goes. This was much more exhausting technique as we learned how to use it. In 2002, we still didn't know it was under our feet, and we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we use it? So I want to look at this briefly. Now, what we notice, first of all, these guys are at the same exact point in their recovery. And notice that Joachim is much more on the outer, whereas Niels is much more out over this skate. So we can't do anything. When we're on the outer edge, there's nothing we can do but drift and wait until we turn it over. And in this era, we turn it over much quicker. Great power, moving with that lead skate, abandoning this push, working against a fixed skate, throwing the body over here. In this time, it was working. Look how there's no movement here as he recovers. There's no movement. It only starts as he gets here and then pushing out away from his mass. So here's his mass. There goes his skate. On the other hand, here's Niels' mass. And he goes this way. So he's working against this skate. It's about the setup. He's set up to use this skate so hard, so briefly, that he's done. This is much more difficult to do. It's much more difficult physiologically on the lactate on the legs. There's a lot of hold here. Can you see that? Just a lot of almost dead time and drifting. And nothing against Joachim. He was the best at the time. And he sits really deep. He's very powerful. This is great skating. But very, very different. And it's still reminiscent of the fixed blade era. So you just see that. So the differences are remarkable. Much less time in the push, much more time in the push. Here, it's about the setup, not the push. Here, it's about how hard you can push. Here, it's about pushing to the side. Here, it's about pushing down and moving away from your skate. Pretend your skate is fixed. If you're trying to do good distance skating in the straightaways, really work against that skate hard all at once as recovery comes through and throw yourself over the lead skate. Just move with that lead skate, abandon the push. In these times, we hadn't figured it out yet, and look at how much outer there is. Remember, you can't do anything with the outer until you turn it over, and it takes a long time to turn over, and then there's not a lot of thrust because his body, Niels' head's out over here somewhere, and he's just going like that. So, much more loaded on the legs and quads. Much less efficient relative to this, at least for a distance straightaway. So, if you're learning distance skating, look at all these tapes. You can see them in real time on YouTube anytime you want. But a great learning tool, because this is pretty radical, this type of technique. But it isn't radical if you isolate it and know it. So, if you're trying to be a distance skater, get out over that skate like nobody's business. Really throw yourself out. Be radical with it. And you'll find that you'll be able to use your edges much, much better. And you'll be over that skate so soon. And then it's brief. It's a brief explosion right there. He's done pushing. Whereas here, his push is going on for a long part of his push. And then there's a lot of wasted drift. Nothing against Joachim at the time, but there's a lot of drift where he can't really do anything. From here, he can't do anything until he gets about here. Whereas here, because the setup is the push, he's already generating pressure into the ice here, and he's already finished with it here. So the recovery, in a sense, is the push. Here, the recovery is separate from the push. Here, the recovery builds the next push. It's like a pendulum. So those are some differences, straightaways. 2002 versus now. I'm sure in 20 years we'll see differences of 2021 versus 2041. So everything evolves, everything changes. It's good to learn from it, and hope you enjoyed this one. Please share with others that might be trying to learn this technique. And as always, please subscribe and send comments. I want to hear from you. It makes the channel better. See you next time.